Hey, 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 namaste. Sonia here, bringing you a little more soul sense, expand your consciousness and your life through this podcast, The Download. Today, today, my solidifiers, I am going to talk about, yes, my journey with religion. And this is a very powerful topic for me because I don't believe I have spoken about this in any of my videos that I post on social media. And that is really powerful because um, here is the opportunity for me to talk about these things, which I don't really get an opportunity to talk about my journey with religion through social media because I post a lot of motivational stuff um, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And it's not quite like this. So that's why I want you guys to really get a chance to feel this out and get a chance to really join me in this journey because out here I'm going to talk about religion, politics, ufology, astrology, nutrition, paranormal stuff. I am going to talk about stuff that we really, 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 really don't talk about too much. And I think this is really important because I really, 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 really want you guys to be on that journey with me. So let's get started. My journey with religion is really interesting, and I don't think a lot of my followers have gotten a chance to know this part. I am adopted, and I am very influenced by two cultures because the parents, my parents, the people that adopted me, unfortunately, they've both passed away. So I'm here on this planet with just me and my daughter, which is a blessing because I have God, the universe on my side, which keeps me keeping on. But the cultures that I grew up with was obviously Latin and Thai. And because of these two things, it was very heavily based, like predominantly, I was raised Catholic, Christian, and Buddhist Thai. So I had both of these religions ever since I was a little girl, really, like I said, prominent, and they were very dominant in my life. I was religiously, no pun intended, um, I would go to my well, I went to Catholic school, by the way. You know, I went to a lot of private schools up until I believe it was, wow, I haven't thought about this stuff in years, but probably, let's see, probably since up until I think it was sixth, sixth grade. I think sixth grade it was when I finally went and I transferred into a local school. I actually went to school in Norridge, which is a little close suburb from Chicago. It's like right on the cusp. Norridge was right around Harwood Heights and Niles and stuff like that, but it was right outside of Chicago. And I attended, actually, the last Catholic school I believe I attended was St. Rosalie's. And yeah, but you know, from as far back as I can remember, I would be, I would go to Sunday school every Sunday. The yellow school bus. I don't know if you guys remember that. You know, those two, you guys that are old school. I'm not sure if they still do it that way, but at least they did when I was a kid. But the Sunday school bus would come pick me up every Sunday, and I would go to class and I would be taught about Jesus and you know learn about all the stories in the Bible, you know, about all the disciples and you know every story and lesson that there was to be taught through Christianity. And this went on for years. You know, to tap into that, there is a lot of lot of memories, but they're very hazy because it was so long ago. But I remember it was quite an interesting time in my life. I remember being on that bus quite often, and I actually remember riding it one time during Halloween. It was really crazy, but um, they decided to scare the kids on the bus, and I still remember this because I think I was so traumatized from this. But I remember there they kept us we I guess we got to the parking lot and the bus was parked, and I guess we were waiting for whatever reason. But I think I have faint memory of this, but I'll never forget this. Right around Halloween time, um, someone was dressed up in a werewolf costume, and I swear at that point it looked legit. It was a legit costume. It was like full on costume, the body costume with the head and everything was full out. And this guy was like jumped on the freaking school bus, and he was banging up on the windows, and all the kids were screaming, jumping on the seats, going under the seats. And I remember my dad laughing his butt off, but I don't think it was very funny because I was like, this is supposed to be going on during Sunday school. Oh my God. Yeah, that was one of my crazy stories when I was going to Christian school. But I also remember another story. What was this one? It was, I believe it was Christmas time. And I remember, I think it was my first encounter with Santa Claus. So we were at Sunday school, and obviously they had hired someone to come in and do the whole Santa Claus thing. Kids sit on his lap and ask him, what do you want? What we want for Christmas and all that. But when it came to my turn, um, I remember I freaked out so bad because he was so scary looking to me. I didn't understand really who the hell Santa Claus was. And I got so scared and I ran away. And I remember freaking out so bad that I ran to the back of I guess to another part of the classroom, but I don't know, out the room or something. I don't remember the details. I was really young, but that was my other encounter with Christian school. There's a lot of them, but really, they're really faint memories. But I do remember that. I do remember, though, guys, like all the stories that they would teach, partially anyway, about Jesus and Joseph and Paul and all the different Bible studies that we would have for our classes. But I remember Christianity being really powerful place to be in that place in my life because I was adopted and my dad was Colombian. And like I said, my mom was from Thailand, but I used to travel back to Colombia every summer with my father. So as soon as summer got here, we would hop on a plane and we did that. I went to Colombia. We did that for like 13 years straight. And I would spend most of my summers out in Colombia. And I had beautiful memories out there. I haven't been out there since then, since my dad has passed, but my plan is to go back soon. It's in the works. So, because of that, my family out there, my dad's family, were very, very, very big Christian Catholics, and they did the whole going to church thing, and the full-on Christianity experience. And too, and my dad held that strong here. I was obviously baptized, and I had my confirmation and my communion, and I did all that when we lived in Chicago. And I remember Christianity being a really powerful thing in my life. But what I really want you guys to know is that, Jesus, I had two different experiences now that I think about it. Like I had that experience of being taught, but it wasn't until I really developed my own relationship with Jesus where I really felt Christianity be like a profound experience in my life, where it really affected me as a person and it helped mold me into who I am, or where I felt like it was actually a part of my life because it's something that I accepted as a belief system for myself, or an experience that I was having, or something that made me feel more connected to God in that specific way. And because of that, I felt like I was in a really uh, um, weird place as I was younger, because as a child, it was hard to fully accept that. It wasn't full on until I got older, that I got to a place of really connecting with Jesus. And I'm going to tell you guys, the most powerful thing for me through Christianity is that I had my own experiences with Jesus. And Jesus has actually manifested himself to me quite a few times in my life. And they were all really powerful, powerful messages for me. And I'll share one of them with you guys. I won't share all, but one of them I think it would be a powerful thing to share. One of them, I had a dream, and it wasn't a dream. It was like a lucid dream. I felt like I was um, just bare. I'd see, uh, definitely lucid, but I knew I was there. Like I was there, and I knew I was having an experience with Jesus. I know Jesus came to me. Now that I understand that, nothing is separate from each other. The universe is eternal. We all come from the same source. Time only exists here on Earth. We can manifest and create our experiences on the third and fourth and fifth and sixth dimension, especially when we're vibrating at higher states of awareness and consciousness. We start understanding that our dreams were just traveling in our astral body. So it was like an astral experience that I had with Jesus. And in that experience, I was actually looking out a window, and it was like crazy. It was like biblical times, the end of times, tribulations at the end of whatever the Bible describes. There was hurricanes happening. There was mountains crumbling. There was big waves of water coming in. I mean, it was like the end of days, and it was the most scariest thing to look at. In my dream. And I remember feeling the shockness of seeing something so horrific, because I didn't understand why I was seeing this, but I knew it was a message. Like as soon as I felt that emotion of feeling like, what is this? And in that experience, I turned around to look next to me, because I was in a room looking out like this huge window. And when I looked next to me, Jesus was standing there next to me. And I was just like, um, wow, like I looked at him and I felt this like enormous love and sense of security. But at the same time, I felt this sense of being in fear and feeling lost. And I didn't know if I was going to die. Like that was like my time to die. Like in that moment, it was real for me. Like I thought that that's what was happening outside, like for real. And it was, because I know that represented something very powerful for me in my life. But I looked over at Jesus and I asked him, I'm like, am I going to die? Am I being saved? And I however you want to interpret that, okay, but for me it was a very powerful thing. And I'll get into how I resonate with that now versus then. But he looked at me and he said, yes, my child, I love you and you are saved. You have nothing to worry about. You are one of my children, and you are protected and loved, and you are one of the ones that are being saved. And I remember waking up bawling. Like I wasn't just crying, I was straight out bawling in my dream. And it was such an emotional, intense shift for me, because I knew I just had my own divine experience with Jesus. Like there was nothing could convince me that I didn't have this experience. Like I was there with Jesus and I woke up sobbing, like bawling out of that state of awareness into this state of awareness of this time space reality on this planet. And I remember it being so intense. And I knew after that moment that my life would be different because I knew that somehow I was being spared of the tragic ends of the potentialities of the realities and multidimensionalities, as I understand now, the potentials of what we could shift to. I knew that I didn't have to experience things in that way, but I knew that my sadness that I still felt, that was I was still going to go through my own versions of that and my own understanding of it now, to what I resonate with it now, is that we all do go through our own turbulations and tribulations and our lessons and our dark night of the soul type of understanding, right? Because what I feel and I understand through my experience and from what I'm seeing is that we are at the end of times and we have reached that pinnacle, I believe, in 2012, which was something the Mayan calendar and the Mayans were trying to teach us. It was just not on the level of people, what people understand. It's not like one big disaster, right? Because some people have passed in hurricanes um, and tsunamis and all this catastrophe, right? And from what I'm understanding, that everybody co-creates their reality because everybody's a part of the universe, and we all um, co-create and create the reality that we feel that we need to experience to evolve our soul. Some would say tragedy is tragic, right? But it is, in a sense, if you need to experience it that way. So somehow I shifted into that reality where it wouldn't quite be that, but in my own way. So for me, my own tribulations has been going through these crazy things in my life. And maybe someday I'll share with you guys some of my journey with all the stuff that I've gone through. But that's for another podcast. And so for me, my experience with Jesus was very powerful in that way, and I awakened to a different understanding and awareness at that point. And I felt that's where I felt I I I grew into my own personal relationship with Jesus, and that was amazing. So, in other words, for me, where I really integrated religion, Christianity was, for me, wasn't what maybe the typical Christian would connect with, right? As an adult, but for me, as an adult, all right, a young adult, having that one particular um, experience, um, I felt more connected. I had deep connections and other experiences, especially like my first real profound experience was with Jesus, and that same level of like a surrealism where I felt like I knew I had I want to say um, a connection, a vision, where Jesus came to me. I think the first one I had like that was actually maybe when I was like 8 or 9. And Jesus has been there for me since I was a little girl. So for me, it wasn't so much connecting to Christianity. It was I connected and had a personal relationship with Jesus. And I can say that I felt personally saved by him. And he's guided me and has shown me signs throughout time that I'm divinely guided and protected by this beautiful ascended master, which I've come to understand him and have a deep relationship with him today. So for me, spirituality and religion for me kind of merged um, later on in life when I understood it more on a deeper level for my awareness, my conscious awareness level. So yeah, that was a little bit of my journey with Jesus. But also, I want to tell you guys that I have had as much as of a profound connection with Jesus as I have Buddha. I was raised by a Thai mother, like full on, like a Thai child. I was brought up Thai. My mom cooked Thai food. I used to spend a lot of time at a Thai temple as a little girl. Literally, there were at points in time that I actually lived at the Thai temple with the monks and the people who would run the temple, because both of my parents were in the medical field and sometimes traveled. And my dad was a doctor. My mom was a nurse in mental health, and my dad was a internist, family practitioner, but he also did like smaller surgery. So he traveled from hospital to hospital, and sometimes he'd travel out of Chicago to go see his patients for whatever reason. So there would be times where I'd have to stay at the Thai temple. They were kind of like my babysitters while my parents worked. They were both really busy. But I remember having profound relationship with Buddha as a little girl. I would spend time with the monks. Like the monks taught me about spirituality, and we would pray twice a day in the temple with this huge Buddha. It was a gold Buddha. It must have been like, I don't even know, at least 30 feet tall. And it was a temple that, where everybody go and sit in a certain position, and we would pray and meditate. And it was something really powerful. So meditation has been in my life for a long time. And so has Buddha. Uh, Buddha has manifested to me in a different form, and it's like pretty much everywhere, um, but never in a dream. It's been like in the third dimensional realm. Never in third and fourth, I want to say third and fourth dimension, but never in the fifth and sixth. None of these consciously yet, but Buddha has manifested himself to me in books and statues and in um, poems and in other ways at the temple. Every other way, like the Buddha's teachings have been very predominant. And I still meditate and pray and I speak to Buddha almost every day, like I do with Jesus. Those two ascended masters have really been really powerful teachers in my life and guides. Um, and I'm very grateful for both of them because um, I have learned so much about it. For me, I would say uh, Christianity set the path for me to have a relationship with something divine. And Buddhism taught me, set the tone for having a relationship with myself and having a relationship with the universe, which I understand now in the state of consciousness that I'm in, being someone who practices spirituality and has a spiritual practice, someone who is divinely guided and empathic. And, I'm a shaman today and someone who has had this influence. For me, Buddhism has been an amazing guide into enlightenment, of understanding things on a deeper level, and has been a different teacher for me than Christianity and Catholicism was. So for me, I judge nothing. I I I appreciate and love both of these ascended masters so much, and I praise them because they are awesome sauce. They were able to come to this planet and master, their divinity, and they were able to become the best versions of themselves and tap into divine powers and share that with the world and be the best version of themselves and share that with the world, and did their best to be those teachers. And for me, Buddha has just continuously been that for me, and there is nothing like it for me. um, and I appreciate it so much. Now, as I've gotten older, especially since like 2005, where I felt like I woke up to a higher state of consciousness, where like I stepped up to the next level of understanding life, spirituality, and I started really diving deep, which is what motivated me and inspired me and gave me the passion to start this podcast called The Download, because I'm going to share my stories of all this crazy stuff that I have studied, right? Including religion, that brought me to this point. Like, so I've spent the last 15 years studying spirituality, religion, physics, quantum physics, astrology, history, ancient history, ufology, nutrition, everything that would give you the answers to life. I've tried, I've done work to gain more knowledge of it. And I'm but a little baby in this whole journey, guys. But I'll tell you this, I have learned so, so much. That actually is what inspired me writing my first book. It's called The Big C, My Path into Enlightenment. And it's basically a memoir into my path of enlightenment. There's a crazy story with that, but I did write the original book and it disappeared on me. I talked about a lot of topics that are really touchy, and it just disappeared on me. But that's for another podcast. But because of that, the good thing was I was able to retrieve actually 26 pages of that book. So I've had to restart rewriting it. From what I understand, because I took a big hit on that one. Losing your work. Oh, I know there's some of you guys out there that have experienced that, and let me tell you, it freaking sucks. But I was able to retrieve 26 pages, and I've started rewriting it. And what the universe keeps telling me is that that was not the book that I was meant to come out. That the universe has a lot more to speak about and express and teach through this first book. For me, the thing that really sucked about that experience is I have had files kept on Google Docs for years. I'm talking about from when I first had, I had an independent record label when I was in Chicago in my 20s. That's for another podcast. But I still had files from then. And I had I finished that first book and I started writing another one, which is called The Messengers. And I think I wrote maybe I just started it, maybe 25 pages in, and that one disappeared too. So conspiracy, I think yes, but that's for another podcast. I will definitely get into that for you guys. But I wanted to just briefly tell you about that because it has been a part of my journey towards learning more about myself and my connectedness with a part of religion, yes, and a part of spirituality, and a part of understanding higher states of consciousness and the way things weave in and out, and how life is just this beautiful dance of this positive and negative energy, and learning how to balance, if you will, the polarities of understanding that we are the light and the dark, and it's about integrating that into our life and how to use that to evolve ourselves into being the best version of ourselves. And for me, that has been the biggest teacher in my life and has led me to the path of having a great relationship with spirit and with God. So for me, religion is a very powerful place. As I've gotten older, and especially in my research in this past 15 years, I've gotten to know some new ascended masters that I never really knew deeply until I connected them with them like maybe about 15 years ago. And that was Krishna and Shiva and Ganesh, and there's and a deeper connection with the angels and my guides, and understand that we have a cuadro espiritual. Me as a shaman practitioner, having my Latin roots and practicing Latin spirituality and spiritualism, but also as a sansista and a shaman. And also, I practice Native American because I'm very connected to the Native American culture and ritual and practice. And also, for me, I'd say the Caribbean has influenced a lot of my shamanic work, but that's for another podcast. But with that, that connected me on that next level and has led me to where I am today in my spirituality and connection with myself and spirit. And I've dove, into some ancient stuff too. Like, I don't know if you guys know anything about the Emerald Tablets and the Law of One. These are really powerful things for you guys to look into if you haven't already. These have been big game changers for me because they help me understand a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to the topics that I'm going to talk about here on this awesome podcast, The Download, where I'm going to tap into religion, science, physics, spirituality, astrology, history, ancient history, ufology, UFOs. Yes, I'm going to talk about UFOs, guys. And I'm going to talk about all the do's and the don'ts and the do's and the don'ts and stuff that you are scared to talk about, because I think this stuff is really important to talk about. And it's, it has set us to raising our consciousness, and it's all about awareness, guys. And for me, with that, it's been quite the journey, and it's been a really powerful place for me to be, just being so blessed with these ascended masters guiding me through my life. I'm going to tell you, Shiva taught me such an important thing. And I'm going to share this is when I got a download from Shiva, I was kind of studying him. And I was actually looking at a picture, and I got a download one day, and I was brought the attention of the serpent that is wrapped around his neck. If you guys have ever seen that, a depiction of Shiva, it represents the ego, and the serpent wrapped around the neck represents the ego being mastered by the self, and that is that place of next level of enlightenment, and to master the self. And when I got that download, it was such a powerful thing for me, because like, wow, I get it now. I'm being given a download that's what I'm in the process of, and that's what I'm learning to master, and that's what it's about for all of us, because he who masters himself masters the world. And this is something that Buddha has taught me, and Jesus, and all the other ascended masters. And let me tell you, I've had a lot of teachers that have come into my life. I'm a real big fan of the Hay House family. So many amazing teachers, spiritual leaders, and authors with Hay House. My dream one day is to be signed with Hay House to get my books published, but we'll see. Got my fingers crossed. I've put it out into the universe, guys. And for me, I guess the most profound thing, guys, and I wanna give this to you, and maybe end it here, is that expand your mind. If you guys were raised a certain religion, I can totally understand being a devout Christian or a devout Muslim or a devout whatever it might be for you, right? Taoist, Buddhism, whatever beautiful ascended master has come to you in your life to teach you about our existence. It is important that you understand that there are many teachers here, and it's what you're open to understanding and being allowed to receive a message from, because they all have beautiful messages for us, and they all have lessons and teachings that we can learn from, right? And everything for me has become my guru. Everything in life and in experience has been become a teacher because I know now I know now that my outer world is a manifestation of my inner world, and that when you truly get that, then you're living your path of enlightenment on a clear path of understanding. So if you understand that life is a mirror, then you understand life is the teacher, and it is up to you to integrate that into your life and find that balance between the negative and the positive, and becoming master and practice emotional intelligence, practice mental health, practice taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, and taking care of your spirit, so you can, and then become a whole person and master your divinity and share that with the world, because that's what it's really about, guys. And express yourself through your creativity and be blessed with it, and become the best version of yourself, because your gifts are here to be shared with the world, to benefit and help this world grow in some way. That's our purpose, and that is our path. And that's what religion has helped guide me to. And I hope that this can help bring some clarity to your life and help you guys in your journey and assist you to becoming the best version of yourself. And yes, sometimes, guys, if you understand it and connect, religion can truly do that for you. Just remember, we have a lot of teachers, and it's about honoring all of them, because they are all a part of us. We are a part of them, and it's all inside us and all around us, because everything is the universe, one big divine frequency of freaking awesomeness. So until the next time, I want to thank you for joining me, Sonia Torrente, always bringing you some awesome soul sense. Love you, my solidifiers. I want to thank you for your continuous love and support, because it keeps on inspiring me to create new content and bring you some fire so we can stay lit, guys. Make sure you're checking out next week's download, where I don't know what topic it's going to be, but I'm sure that will manifest. So until the next time, I love you. Peace, love, and namaste. And I'll catch you on the next time.